We are MMA R&D. We're going to go over some bets. We're going to go over some DraftKings, lineup building, techniques and strategies, sort of. It's just we're basically two dudes. Um, and, we bet on fights. We've been betting on fights for a long time. My name is Nick, a.k.a. Diggle Sauce. And I'll let this guy introduce himself.
I am Glenn, and also known as Reputed Dirty G or Refuted G.
And we're here to win the monies and get this bread. So let's not waste any more time. Let's get right into these fights. It's going to be in an empty arena again, which I think is kind of an interesting dynamic for a lot of these guys. But the first fight is Dontel Mays, who is a Contender Series dude, versus Rodrigo Nascimento. Nascimento right now started as a plus 130 underdog, and he's moved down to minus 107. I agree with that move. I think Dontel Mays is pretty long, pretty rangy, but I like Nascimento's grappling ability and ability to submit Dontel Mays if he can get this fight on the floor. I think he's going to be able to control him. And people are asking, well, how's he going to get it to the ground? Well, if you've ever watched Mays fight, he kind of just jumps into the weird things. And I mean, he jumped like into a takedown before. I mean, I don't know. There's not a lot of tape. These fights are hard to tell you exactly what's going to happen because, when you get to these undercard fights, there's always a lot of variance. But my pick is Nascimento, and I think he's going to either finish by submission or basically via ground and pound with him on top, and Mays will not be able to get up. That's my call.
I think it's similar, but maybe a little bit different. So the first fight where Dontel Mays was in the UFC, he fought Cyril Gane, and Gane basically just beat his ass. Like he was landing strikes at will. The kickboxing was crazy. And Cyril Gane is like a teammate of Francis Ngannou, something to keep in the back of your mind. So he's pretty good. But he ends up subbing him, and it was this big to do because he's subbing as a heavyweight. Dontel Mays, I don't think has like a terrible background. The guys he's fighting, like he beat Mohammed Usman, who I think is Usman's brother, and some other guys with all 3 or 4 finishes before that fight. That's his debut fight against Cyril Gane, which I think is a little bit unfair. I don't think he looked good by any stretch, but I'm also worried that a guy we've seen nothing of coming in, who's a submission guy, may have even less ways to win than Dontel Mays. So I'm worried that Rodrigo is going to come in there and his plan is going to be to grapple and get a submission, and he's just going to get smashed.
That's very possible. I mean, Mays, he's a heavyweight. I don't see any, I don't know if he has touch of death, one punch knockout power. Nascimento is undefeated. I think he, moves well, uses leg kicks pretty well. Yeah. Again, I don't have a crystal ball in this fight. I'm leaning Nascimento because I like the line movement, and I like the line movement a lot, actually. So the market believes, as I do, that Nascimento should be a slight favorite, and he's basically the reason that's important is on DraftKings.
Actually, right now, Mays is minus 110 to 20, and Nascimento's minus 105 to 110, or even positive. And Mays is slightly a favorite right now.
Slightly, yeah. It depends where you look, but yeah.
50-50.
Yeah, it's a toss-up fight, but it started with Nascimento being more of an underdog. So I like that on draft. The reason I'm saying this all is because I think Nascimento has finishing ability via submission. Mays has been submitted before, and he's at a 7,800 price tag on DraftKings. So we're talking, listen, I'm not telling you to go bet your bankroll on Nascimento, but I'm saying if you use him in DraftKings, I think it's a solid underdog because at 7,800 he can finish Mays if Mays gets himself into a predicament. Because I think if this fight hits the floor, Mays isn't getting up.
Yeah, that's probably true. I think that's probably a likely path, but a debuting fighter, I don't always have a lot of faith in guys debuting. I think chances are they lose, statistically more often than not. From a DraftKings point of view, too, I'm worried that if there's not an early stoppage, that this could be terrible. In a 3-round decision, you might score 25 points.
That's fair. That's very fair. So I think that's kind of enough on that. I mean, again, you know, do what you want
The
with this fight, but
I think
um,
the floor is low, the ceiling's high. Like if either guy gets an early finish, probably want him at DraftKings. But I don't think it's guaranteed either way. I think the submission grappling is probably a more dominant way of winning than like trying to land the lucky shot or the power shot or whatever. But I can see it go either way.
yeah, but again, a guy we haven't seen a whole lot of tape on,
Yeah.
and counting on him as a submission grappling, like we're just gonna go in there, we're gonna tap a guy out, no problem, gonna be easy. I don't, yeah, that can turn around to look pretty stupid very quickly in this fight. So we've already wasted way too much time because this isn't the biggest opportunity on this card.
Yeah.
What's interesting is the next fight we have Courtney Casey going up in weight from 115 to 125 to fight the Italian Barella. So right now Casey is a favorite. It looks like her line action has moved to kind of dipped up and down, but kind of staying consistently around that minus 1.5, minus 150 range. So here's the thing: Casey is a real big. She plods. She moves terribly. Nothing really about her game is super impressive. At the 115 weight division, she was able to muscle some people around because she was a thicker 115. So she was able to muscle some people around, but I think it's going to be a struggle for her to do that at 125. And I think Barella is our first underdog that we can find some action on.
So I'm on the opposite on this one. The I was watching some tape on this last night. Courtney Casey has like a Muay Thai style, and so it looks like she's plotting or just standing still, but she's really trying to get her power base, so that she can throw without moving too much. And if you watch like the Calvillo fight, Calvillo's like dancing around her and landing leg kicks and punches and things, and Casey can't counter extremely well because she can't move. Like her movement's not very good, footwork's not very good. But the
It's
thing is,
it's terrible.
okay,
Yeah, let's
but
let's
I mean,
not give
she
her.
doesn't move. She
No,
doesn't
she
move.
doesn't
She
move
stands
well.
still. Like, she looks like
Yeah,
a tree most of the time.
yeah.
But she can
Casey
counter. The problem is that she throws like these like soccer kicks, and then she throws basically like maybe a jab, but mostly just like a right to counter. Mara Romero Barea, she does not have good footwork either, though. And
No.
she'll basically stand in front of you, and she does a weird thing where she jabs with her right power hand like twice. It's very strange. I don't understand it. But she'll stand still after she does it. And so I
Yeah.
think the striking differential on these two is almost like 50% higher for Casey. She's throwing like 4 point something, and
Yeah.
Maria's throwing 2 points.
So Casey's gonna win on the feet majority of the time if you play this fight out. But I don't think she has any finishing potential, especially moving up in weight. I don't think like she's gonna find some kind of power shots or anything like that. So I don't think Barella's in danger of being finished. But where
No.
I think the fight could go poorly for Casey is if Barella does her little rush thing where she just kind of blindly rushes in. It's not like Casey's going to be able to knock her out on the way in. So blindly rush in, grab, and try to get to the floor. And once she's on the ground, I think Barella has an advantage. So is it going
I
to be a finishing sequence? No, but um, I think that it's going to be one of those fights. I'm going to tell you this right now. This is going to be one of those fights where you watch 3 rounds, you have no idea who won. You have no idea
Actually,
who won.
I think you will. I think you will. I'm leaning on Casey on this because I watched some of their other fights. I think the significant strikes, I pulled it up too. It's 4.8 versus 2.61. It's almost double the significant strikes landed, and the grappling is like about one takedown per 15 for Berea compared to Casey. So her takedowns aren't good. She's lunging at people. She's like trying to hug them and drag them down. I mean, these aren't like technical. They're not powerful,
No.
and the wrestling's sloppy. Like it just is. I mean, they're rotating around in a ball, but there's not like solid, definitive grappling going on. So I think Casey might get taken down once. I think she probably gets up pretty fast.
Yeah, yeah. I mean that could, if you've got to lean one way or the other. I mean, power to you.
That's
I'm just
that's my
more like
take. Yeah.
My take on this is more dog or pass because we don't have a clear advantage either way. So
Well, from a
and
scoring point of view,
and if we're talking DraftKings, I'm staying away from this
yeah.
fight. I'm not even coming close to this fight. I'm avoiding it like the plague, and maybe that's just a hole I have in my DraftKings games that I'm trying to avoid a fight like this, but I just don't see a ton of opportunity.
I don't see that Berea can score more than like 60 points, no matter what she does. I mean, it's been years since she had a first round sub. So I don't think Berea has any upside on DraftKings for me. But I do like Casey as potentially like a safe, like 80 plus points, which maybe it doesn't even pay off. But I think there's trouble with a lot of these high end guys.
Interesting. Okay. Let's go on to the next fight, which is actually to me probably going to end up being fight of the night. I don't know what you think, but I think this is going to be fight of the night.
Which one? Which one?
If we're moving on to the next fight, which is Darren Elkins and Nate Landwehr.
Man, I've looked at it. I'm gonna watch more tonight, but Darren.
Well, that doesn't do any good for the people, man. You watching tonight? The video is posted. It's not going to help anybody now. So let me.
I want to do a little more research, but the thing is like, if you just look on paper, you say Elkins sucks. He lost 3 in a row, but that doesn't really tell you the whole story. Like Volkanovski's the champion now, and no one's going to stop him. Ricardo Lamas catches him in the 3rd round and finishes him, and Ryan Hall is the wizard. Like, what are you going to do with Ryan Hall? Like, he's just going to heel hook you or
king of the 50-50, king of the 50-50 guard.
Yeah.
So here's my
Darren Elkins fight.
Yeah, here's my take on Elkins. Dude has incredible cardio, incredible heart. He has improved his stand-up fighting. What he wants to do is he wants to tire you out and break your will via wrestling and grappling heavy exchanges. He's not looking for finishes unless you really give him a neck like Michael Johnson did. Most of his fights is I'm going to take damage. I'm going to take a lot of damage. I'm going to take more damage. And then hopefully you're tired from punching me and I can wrap you up and submit you or wrestle you and lay on you. Now, and DraftKings perspective, this man is a high scorer. He can touch his ceiling because he's so active in there and he pushes a demon pace. I love fighters like this because we know we're going to get action. And so here's why it's very interesting, because Nate Landwehr is also coming from M1. He was their champion. Yeah. He has a similar style of, I am going to try to break your will and get punched a lot, do it in the process. Doesn't defend very well. He throws a lot of lead uppercuts that leave him open to counters. He has a lot of like weird, like his striking combinations and things are not traditional. They're more, he's looking for, just power shots, and he's got pretty good defensive grappling. I mean, but he's a high-paced fighter. He wants to tire you out. He doesn't mind taking damage, and this is why I think this is going to be super fun, because these guys are both going to be like in there taking a lot of damage on each other, and
damage.
Here's the thing, though. I think that Landwehr could get frustrated with Elkins' grappling ability. And at the flip side, I think Elkins, if his chin is gone, which there's, evidence of that could be, that his chin is starting to, crack a little bit, Landwehr can definitely knock him out. So, man, this is a fun fight.
I don't know, definitely.
Yeah, definitely is a stretch, but he can knock him out. Yeah, he can knock him out.
Ricardo Lamas in the 3rd round. I mean,
yeah, but again,
TKO too, I think.
Again, this fight's, there's a lot of energy going to be expended. Both of these guys are known for their cardio. It's going to be a race. I mean, it's going to be a race to the 3rd round, and
this is the way I look at it. Elkins has fought the better competition, no question about it. He's fought some of, like, best guys out there, right? I think from a scoring potential, he's 80 to 90 points, unless there's like some kind of an early stoppage, which I'm not anticipating. I think Landwehr is interesting, but also I think it's interesting that Herbert Burns KO'd him in the 1st round with a knee. But it's like maybe the competition M1 is not the same, and also are like KO TKO stuff, like bang
Yeah.
bang bang. All right, he's asleep. Get him out of there. I think that he's going to be in for. He's going to have to pay the piper to fight Darren Elkins for 3 rounds. I mean, Elkins, I don't think his chin's gone. I think he's just a monster. He's had a year off since that last fight too. I
That's a good
imagine
sign.
he's going to come back looking fresh. I think it's totally possible Elkins wins, and I think whoever wins the wrestling in that is going to win the fight, because the strikes will pile up over time. But I think whoever controls the position and the posture is going to be the one on top, landing those strikes, and they're going to win.
Yeah, and it's not like Landwehr has one punch KO power. He just has, I think he has probably a little bit more behind his punches than Elkins, but Elkins has improved his stand up. I mean, as I think through it and go through it, I am going to be on Elkins. But again, I think this is a fight you want to have, especially in DraftKings. Either way, if you have a read on Landwehr, and you think Elkins may have a chin problem, which I keep saying that, and a year is a really good sign. A year off is a great sign if someone does have a chin issue. So let's do it. Let's do it. Damage. Let's do damage. Darren
Yeah,
Elkins, baby. Let's go.
there's from scoring too. Like I don't know. I think Elkins is probably interesting here.
He's a high scorer, man. He is. I mean, like if you just look at his activity in terms of like what he's actually doing in the fight, he has high scoring potential. Now the scores aren't always high because he doesn't win that often. He hasn't won in a while. But when you look at the fights that he actually wins, the activity is super high and
Yeah.
pretty good.
And the thing I like though is that he's winning decisions with like 86 points. For me, that's like a nice floor to have, where if you're winning in 3 rounds and you can score 86 points, that's pretty good. It's
Yeah.
not like one of these pancake matches where you scored 20 points or something.
Where
So
I think is real scoring potential though is that Landwehr is going to continue to move around and continue to try to get up. So you could have multiple takedowns, multiple advances, and that's where these points start to pile up along with the strikes on the feet. So let's get it. Darren
yeah,
Elkins.
I'm
One
I'm
more
not
time
sold
for
on
the
Elkins.
Indiana guy.
I think either guy is good though. Like if you get Landwehr and he finishes Elkins or wins decisively, he's going to be optimal probably at 79. But Elkins at 83, if he can score, basically more than 83 points, that should be a good play.
Yeah,
And he shouldn't get a decision.
yeah, and that's great. I agree with that.
It should be great though. It should just be a
Yeah.
total bloodbath. Can't wait
Yep.
to watch
Just
it.
bleed God is happy. If we were more professional on this podcast, we would have just bleed gifts coming up in your face, just like
Soon.
just haunting your dreams. But
Next
the
week.
next fight was supposed to be Jigga Chickadesi versus Mike Davis, who I'm a big Mike Davis fan, and so unfortunately you couldn't see it. But Jigga is going to fight Erwin Rivera.
Let me ask you
We'll
just
do
one
like
second.
5 seconds on that. But
What's your 1 second take though in the Mike Davis versus Giga Chikadze fight? Who do you like better in that one? Just straight up.
Mike, a lot.
Yeah.
I think Mike has a lot of potential to be a future real contender. He is.
I felt the same way.
He looks like a brick shithouse in there, man. He can throw hands. So I like me some Mike Davis. We'll keep an eye on him in the future. But it doesn't mean we don't like Jigga. So I like Jigga in the fight against Erwin Rivera. That's my 1 minute take on that. DraftKings salaries are weird right now. I think they're going to adjust. I don't think they're going to leave both guys at 7K. I think they're going to adjust as soon as the betting lines come out. And my guess is that the betting line will come out that Jigga is a pretty big favorite over this Erwin Rivera fella.
Yep.
So we'll probably take Jigga in that sense. So we can probably just move on to the next fight.
So Erwin Rivera though, his ground game is terrible from what I can tell. He's essentially like a short fighter for the division. He's like 6 inches shorter than Jigga.
Yeah,
and,
I saw that.
So I mean, the height is a problem, especially for striking, because if you're that much shorter and someone's punching down on you, it's going to be a much easier time.
Let's not make too many short jokes there, 6-foot guy.
I'm just saying, it's a fact of boxing. Like if you're the shorter guy and you're punching up, you're going to have a hard time. So I just look at it as like. He's hosed, man.
My reach, my poor little T-Rex arm reach fits in the whole screen. It's very rough. It's
I think
very
I would
rough when
see
you're
it.
fighting.
I think,
Yeah, yeah, it's very rough when you're fighting taller guys, and you're forced to be standing. You can't get inside, and if
well,
you don't
he's
have
not a
the threat,
grappler.
yeah, that's the problem. If you don't have the threat of grappling, and you're going to be giving up reach, the only way to get in there and win is Tyson style, where you're kind of ducking under. But it doesn't really work in MMA because you have knees and you have elbows up the middle. I mean, as a short
Well,
guy, reach
Jiga
is
has also shown that he can take people down.
yeah.
So I think he's a much more well-rounded guy at this point. He's got a height and a reach advantage, and I think his boxing or his like kickboxing background is going to let him light up Irwin.
Yeah, and I don't think he's going to necessarily like KO him or anything, but I think you think so. You think he's
I
going to
think
KO him?
I think it's going to be like a TKO in the second round.
Could be. Okay. Okay.
I think it's going to
Yeah,
be
I
too
just
much
never saw
power.
I never saw a ton of power from Jigga. That's my issue with him.
If you get hit
Like
in
I
the
don't.
face 4 times in a row and you start to turn red, like it only takes a few more before it's TKO.
Yeah, but have you noticed some of these stoppages have been super weird? So we got the early stoppage on Dom, and then I felt like the UFC told all the refs like, "Oh, you stopped it early on Dom, so let's let everybody else die in there now." And
Hang on, my teeth are coming out.
yeah, you have Anthony Smith literally dying in the octagon for your viewing pleasure, and it's all because Dominic Cruz said Keith Peterson's drunk and stopped the fight too early. I was getting up, so let Anthony Smith die. I was getting up, let Anthony Smith die. It was like, dude, I was so upset watching that. I mean, that was the worst. That was I was like, is that?
Oh, boy,
I had the
Dominic
doctor.
Cruz or Anthony Smith?
Anthony Smith, I had the Dr. Cruz or the Dr. Phil gif where I'm like shaking, like, are you kidding? Is that Mario Yamasaki in there?
To be honest,
Is
I
that
was
Mario
totally fine with it.
Yamasaki?
I was totally fine with it. I didn't care at all. I felt no
That's your
remorse for
boy
Anthony
too.
Smith.
That's your
Yeah, I like
boy.
him. I think he's awesome. I love his tats. I love that he's fighting home invader guys. Like, he's the real deal. But I felt no pity for him because it's Glover Teixeira's fault that he wasn't able to finish the fight. If Glover could have strung together like 3 more punches, even little rabbit punches, they would have stopped it. But Glover was like 1, 2, 3, rub the neck, 4, like took forever. He wasn't finishing them. Like he was knocking his teeth out of his head, but he wasn't finishing them. And out of severe fighters, that's screwed up and like he's losing teeth and whatever. You lose a teeth, I don't know if it's that big of a deal. So I think some of them are veneers, anyways, which you get put back in.
No, he
But
said it was real teeth. So I'm gonna defend my boy Anthony
I
Smith.
think it was
Your
bald. I
boy.
think it was bald.
He said it was
But
real teeth.
all right, but if he's losing his teeth, like he or his corner or the ref have to decide that. Not like it isn't all on him, and it's
Yeah.
not on the ref for not stopping it. Like in between rounds, maybe.
It is.
Okay,
It is totally on the ref for not stopping it.
I think Glover was just too slow. He's plodding away. I
Yeah.
think if you want to blame it, you want to blame Glover.
I blame Anthony Smith's corner. Yeah, I'm gonna blame Glover for winning a fight.
Too
It's
slow. He was too slow, man.
yeah. It was just like Anthony Smith. It was such a hard situation to watch, man.
It's crazy because he looked
sucked.
great in the first round.
Yeah, but I got a lot of questions about his corner. I'm not going to repeat Daniel
got
Cormier.
questions.
I thought Daniel Cormier nailed it though. Daniel Cormier in the commentary nailed it. He called out the corner of Anthony Smith. I thought that was a really good piece of commentary there by DC. And
I mean, they probably should throw the towel more often than they do, but it's
yeah, I mean, listen, these guys have 4-ounce gloves. Like you're gonna take if once you have no chance of winning that fight. I mean, the guy's name is Lionheart. You think he's gonna give up? Like he's not giving up. Like protect your fighter, and the ref. I think the ref has something to do with that too.
Last thing on this, then we're gonna move on. He has the same shit that Gaethje used to do. You know when Gaethje used to get pummeled and he just cover up like it's over. He does the same thing. He starts eating them and he covers up and he's not swinging back out to open it up and get out of there.
Or he's not moving his head. I mean, it's just. But when you're that fucked up, like let's not criticize him too much.
Tell me about Matt Brown and Miguel Beza.
So Matt Brown is a dangerous mofo. 5-6 years ago, but
I was waiting to see that win.
yeah. So here's the thing though. So this is the kind of fight I love because you get an old school fighter. I know you hate these, but you get an old school fighter against a younger guy with some tools. So Beza has some tools. He has some straight strikes that he can use, but he does this thing where he fought a guy in the Contender Series, and I kept seeing him kind of crash into the clinch, and he kept going in the clinch, and he didn't have any tools in the clinch. He didn't have any weapons in the clinch. He just kind of was clinching, and this is a bad thing to do with Matt Brown. Even a good high level fighter does not really want to be in the clinch with Matt Brown.
He elbowed Diego Sanchez, knocked him out cold.
Yeah.
I think in the clinch he was kneeing Ben, the Spider-Man. I forgot his last name.
Yeah.
Ben Saunders. Not that he's any good, but so I have the exact same fear. And also Miguel Beza, if you notice, he does not have I don't know how to show on this camera, but his stance isn't spread out. It's like this. It's like he stands together like very tall and upright, and he doesn't have like a good fighting stance either. His base is super narrow, and I'm worried that even though he's super athletic and it looks like he has real power when he connects with that right hand, I'm really, really worried that Matt Brown's going to just get a hold of him or take him down because his feet are so close together. He's going to go back. I also noticed Baeza cannot really effectively strike at all while backing up. So if you start to come in on him, he will always back off and just put his hands up. And you'll never see him like back off and jab or anything like that. It's just back up, circle, try to get away. And I think that's a terrible sign. I mean, I think that if Matt Brown has anything left in the tank, he's going to realize real fast when he even feints a little bit, this kid just backs up. And I think he's going to get on him. And I'm worried that one of the biggest favorites in the card, well, yes, could he knock him out? Sure. I'm worried that he's going to get taken to the ground and beat up. Or grappled on the cage hard. Like, I don't think Matt Brown's trying to have a slugfest with him.
Yeah, and I mean, here we go with the same fight, the same point I made about when we were talking in a conversation last week about Brian Kelleher versus Hunter Azure. Beza has potential. He has some things that he does well. But when you put it all together, is he a complete fighter ready to fight a complete fighter? Matt Brown's a complete fighter. Matt Brown is old. Matt Brown is slower. Matt Brown doesn't probably have a lot of knockout power in his hands anymore, but he has knockout power in his elbows and his knees, and he has a lot more weapons and a lot more diversity to his weapons than Beza has. And that's what worries me about Beza at this price tag, because we're committing to Beza is going to land his right hand and he's going to knock out Matt Brown. But Matt Brown is a crafty striker.
Yeah,
and he's very crafty.
And if that doesn't happen, you essentially lose your card with this guy, because if Beza doesn't have like basically a first round knockout, you're overpaying, no matter what he does from there.
Yeah, because it's not like he's a particular volume striker. It's not like he's going
to
grappling. He's a knockout or bust fighter, and you know me, so just to let our thousands and millions of viewers and the millions and millions of fans out there, a wave to you all. As a bettor, I'm never going to side with the guy that has one tool to win, unless it's Francis Ngannou. But the one tool fighter that really throws straight punches and can knock people out, like, this will work against very low-level competition, and this will not work against high-level diverse strikers like Matt Brown. So I think we're on the same page, which is interesting.
Yeah.
That's a dog pick right there.
Yeah, I'm not sure that I'm going to take him, though, for DraftKings, but I know for sure I'm not taking Baeza. The big problem, too, is this last fight was against Hector Aldana, I think his name was. Hector Aldana is like a smaller counterpuncher, basically. He's like, hits hard, but no volume, no aggression, just wants to counter. I feel like this fight's the opposite, and the UFC is like, okay, like, you were able to leg kick this guy into oblivion. We're going to get a guy who's going to come at you the whole time and see how that goes. And I think it's like the next step, and I don't think it's going to go real well.
Agreed. And listen, we could be wrong if Baeza makes some improvements, but all I can do is see what I see on tape. And I think I like Matt Brown in that sense.
Yeah.
So what do we got
Tell
next?
Me about Kevin Holland and Anthony Hernandez, not the psychopath Anthony Hernandez.
Yeah, it's not our psycho Anthony Hernandez. It's our fluffy Anthony Hernandez. So listen, I really don't love the fight IQ, like, necessarily, of either of these guys, which is giving me a lot of pause. I'd like to hear what you think about it, but I
Yeah,
mean, this is not a fight I wanna expose too much of my bankroll to, either in DraftKings or betting, just because I just don't trust either guy.
so I'm taking Holland 100%. Like not in
Okay.
every ticket, but I'm hard on Holland. The reason is the power, the height and reach is massively different. He showed that he had like reasonable jiu-jitsu defense against Brendan Allen, who I think is a freak and can go real
Yeah, we
far.
like him a lot, actually. Both of us do.
Yeah,
Brendan.
but he defended well and was actually hurting Brendan Allen for quite a while until it turned into just like a full-on grappling match. Anthony Hernandez's biggest problem is his hands are always down low, and he'll basically walk into punches. And I think with Kevin Holland, if you do that for very long, you're going to get smashed. It also looks like he doesn't defend well. He doesn't have good footwork. He just stands still. Like I think Kevin Holland's going to pick this guy apart, get a win pretty easily, and be back like in the place where he wants to be.
Okay. Um, that's a pretty good read. I mean, listen, I don't trust Holland a whole lot to do what he should do, which is like stay at range, use his jab, use his reach, put combinations together. And I just there's a weird feeling in me that Anthony makes this like some weird dirty box event, and Holland can't really have an answer just because his fight IQ
Holland's a
sucks.
lot bigger. Holland's a lot bigger.
Yeah,
He might have the biggest height and reach advantage in the whole card, and it's like statistically positive for him.
yeah.
I and also when I look at Hernandez and his hands are by his hips all the time, and he's walking and getting punched by guys his own height, it's going to be like a whole another thing. I mean,
he's gonna have to eat one or two extra punches because the reach is so long.
yeah, I think he's going to get hosed. Really, I think that's an early stoppage for Holland. Tell me
Nice.
about
All right. What's
Marlon
next?
Vera and Yadong Song.
Oh yes, this is a great fight. Another really great fight because we have two fighters with a lot of weapons, and two fighters that this is like one of those you see on the card and you're just like, it's gonna be good. It's just gonna be a total bloodbath because Cheeto has improved a lot since I started watching him. He's on a hot win streak. The dude has
They
weapons.
both are actually.
Yeah, he has. Cheeto has a ton of weapons. Here's my issue in this fight for Cheeto. I think his hand speed is going to be slower. I think Song is going to have a hand speed advantage, and everybody that fights Song, he seems like he has bricks in his hands or something. Because
Yeah.
people when they fight him, they don't like to engage with him because
you know where he
it's-
trained at, right? He grew up as a kid. He trained at the Shaolin Temple.
You told me
in,
this.
like in Henan province in China, which I was at last September. But
Yeah.
I was there. Like I saw the like thousands of kids in red jumpsuits, and they're all like training together.
Yeah.
He lived there for years when he was like a little kid until like not an adult, but for a long time.
Well, they're putting like brick particles in his knuckles because everybody that exchanges with him like seems like they just get donged. They get you donged, and
Yeah,
they don't like it.
He's
And
training in the mountains. I think he's in
Yeah.
like Florida or somewhere now, but it's tough as hell. I mean, he's awesome.
both guys are really tough. And listen, I think it's going to look bad for Cheeto for the first two rounds. It's going to look really bad for Cheeto. He's going to get hit with body shots because Yadong works the body really well. Yadong has good kicks. Yadong has a vicious overhand too, which against a taller fighter is going to be the weapon of choice. Is that he's going to look to land that overhand. He's going to work the body and look to land that overhand. And if he does, he could sleep Cheeto. So I think this is going to be, if you're Cheeto, you're going to understand that you're going to go through deep waters to get this fight to the third round where, Yadong has showed a little bit of cardio suspect issues in the third round. If his cardio's right, I don't think he has a chance of losing to Cheeto.
Most guys aren't going to engage with him the way that Cheeto Vera does. Like, most guys aren't going to trade with Song Yadong. You're going to try and get one in, get out, not get hit, right? It's like the Nate Diaz package. Like, hit him with good shit, don't get hit, pocket full of money. Like, that's what people want to do, and then they go to sleep. But I think Cheeto Vera is going to swarm him a little bit, and maybe less power, higher volume, just like elbows and things that he's not used to seeing.
Yes, he's got a lot of weapons.
But the only thing I can say is like there's probably more power on Song. There's probably more like flurry ability out of Cheeto. There's probably a little height and reach for Cheeto. But Cheeto Vera has probably a better submission ground game than Song. I think Song has more of like a power wrestling where he can get to like half guard and just bang on you. I think
Yeah,
Cheeto could like triangle him or potentially stop him on the ground.
yeah. So Song, I think, has weapons that can win him rounds in the grappling. Like he's got a nice double from what I remember. I believe he has a nice double, and he has nice entries into his takedowns. And because everyone's so afraid of his hands, right? So he usually is able. He will be able to get round winning takedowns, and I think he's a better round winner than than Cheeto. So, like I said, this fight could look bad for Cheeto until it doesn't. I mean,
Yeah.
Yadong could win the first two rounds pretty handedly, and then the third round could tilt heavily towards
You
Cheeto.
get finished too.
Yeah, it could tilt heavily towards Cheeto because Cheeto's going to have the cardio advantage. I mean, Cheeto is just a warrior. He's going to be in there
Yeah.
all 3 rounds.
So here's the thing though, is like I look at this for me in my head. I love both guys. I think it's a 50-50. I think it could go totally either way. This could be fight of the night too, depending on how it plays out.
Yes.
But Song is at like almost minus 200 and Cheeto's at like plus 160. So if you've got two guys that are 50-50 and one of them's plus 160, that's probably the guy you want to play, just from like a straight value proposition. But I will play both mixed around in my lineups.
Yeah, you have to, because here's the thing: if Yadong wins, either like Yadong is going to win a big point total because Cheeto is going to get hit a lot. Like I don't think Cheeto can stay away from Song and stay away from his power and stay away from his strikes.
I don't think he's going to try to. I think he's going to try and get him on the cage and flurry.
Yeah, but he's going to get countered. And I think it's going to look. I think it's going to look rough for Cheeto for a little bit. But if Cheeto continues to keeps pressure high, this could be a big win for Cheeto Vera. If Cheeto Vera beats Song Yadong, it's a huge win for him.
One thing we don't talk about too is if he gets him on the cage and he's flurrying and he gets him in a clinch or he starts to take the back, if he's hanging on him, if he, there's the potential for like a standing rear naked choke, which I think Song's jiu-jitsu probably is not the same quality as Cheeto Vera.
I think it's good, but I don't think it's. Yeah, I think Cheeto is just so offensively, like he's looking for submissions and finishes, which I love in a fighter. It's hard for me to pick against Song because I know I'm going to see you're going to see big body shots land. You're going to see big, an overhand right could totally sleep Vera. But I think you got to mix in DraftKings, and I'm okay with the dog bet on Vera.
Yeah, I mean, if you're just going to pick one for DraftKings, I'll play both.
I think I haven't looked at the fight get stoppage, but I think there will be a stoppage in this fight. So if there's
decide the distance bet. Maybe.
Yeah, I think there should be no fight does not go to the distance is minus 120 right now on the website I'm looking at. I mean, that's pretty likely that there's going to be a finish. If you're going to bet Song Yadong, I'm betting Song Yadong wins inside distance at plus 265. Why am I betting Song Yadong minus 200 when I think Song's best way to win is to stop Cheeto with an overhand or just where he's just punishing him so bad on the feet that it's just too much damage.
Yeah, I'm looking. Is there just a straight here? Fight goes to decision is minus 115. That's doesn't go to decision is minus 115. Yeah, it's okay. I think it's gonna be awesome. I'm looking forward to that a lot. Let's keep moving so we don't.
We're taking
a lot of time today.
Yeah.
That fight should be awesome. Everyone's gonna enjoy it.
Yeah.
Eric Anders and Christoph the Bag of Dirt Joko.
What do you
think of this?
Joko's a decision fighter, and I love to see these guys get blasted out of the UFC. He's a decision machine. He's not dangerous. He's not a dangerous fighter.
Dude, he's reminds me of a mailman. He sucks. I don't like him. He's boring.
Yeah, you want to fight him. Shit, you're about to cut weight and fight him. He's probably lost us some money in the past, and that probably is why we're biased. But I think that Anders is athletic, and he's going to really he's gonna. I think he's gonna whoop his ass. To be honest, I think he's got a chance to finish him in the first round, and I think Anders has a chance to actually out decision the decision fighter because I believe Eric Anders, has some ways to engage with Joko, and I think he's going to keep the fight standing. I think he's going to be able to keep it up.
Yeah, so I agree with everything. In my point of view, is that I think Eric Anders could win a decision. Joko sucks, and when he gets hit, he looks real bad. And like a couple of punches in a row, he's like ready to go out. When we look at Eric Anders in a decision in his last fight, 3 rounds against Meerschaert, who also wants to wrestle a little bit, he scores 62 points with a win. And when we look at Joko, I'm sure it's worse, but let me pull it up here. Joko is scoring 60. He had 87 at one time against Amandovski, but he had 4 takedowns. And Amandovski is like out of the UFC, I think. He's just not going to score well. So I think the only way that I want either one of these guys on my DraftKings pick is if I think Eric Anders is going to get an early knockout. And if he can finish Joko in the first or second round, then I want him. Because for the price, he's cheap. Like they're like 8,000, I think, or
He's
76.
76, yeah.
So yeah, I mean that could certainly pay off and be great. The question is though, is like how much faith do we have in Eric Anders to go knock out even like kind of a crappy fighter, right? Like I just don't know. I think it's. Do you want to bet your night on that? I'll probably put him in like 1 or 2 lineups just for the hell of it. But I think more likely it's going to be a decision where he's defensively trying not to get taken down, and it drags out on the cage, and it takes a lot of time. I think you just got muted over there. I lost you. There, you're back. You're back.
Technical difficulties. You hear me now?
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, so that's my take. Is I want him. I'll put him in like 2 lineups maybe for a first round knockout. But other than that, I want nothing to do with it.
Okay, we'll keep going, and then we'll kind of do a macro overview of the card because we only got a few fights left.
Yeah. Barboza and Iggy.
All right. Well, you're not gonna like this. I know you. You're not gonna like this at all. What do you think I'm gonna say?
Well, now I think I know what you're gonna say, but you can tell me.
I like Barboza in this fight.
Just tell me how or why or what rational, logical reason you have for that.
I think the competition level is so much different between these two.
Disagree. Good.
Disagree. Okay, so I think the competition level is different. I think that Barboza is cutting down. He looked good in his cut. He's only really lost to power, like the power grapplers of the world. I thought he did pretty well against Felder. I don't know. But he destroyed Dan Hooker, who I think is one of the best guys, best strikers in the UFC.
Striker. Not well-rounded, but good striker.
Yeah, great striker. I think great is fair to put on Dan Hooker's. But I mean, like Khabib Nurmagomedov, Kevin Lee, these guys
Kevin Lee sucks too. He sucks too.
I know, but he's a real powerful wrestler, man, and I just don't think Iggy is fast enough or big enough to put Barboza on his back because Barboza is super athletic. He's shown in the past to have great takedown defense, and I mean, I just think he's gonna smash Iggy at kicking range, like really, really bad.
All right. Well, I obviously think the exact opposite. I think Dan Iggy has takedowns in every fight. I think he hits with purpose. I think he's mean, like he wants to hurt you. He trains with Khabib's team, and I think Khabib probably told him this is what I did to him. Here's where he's good, here's where he's weak. Barboza going down in weight towards like the end of his career, not a good sign, because probably it means he can't deal with the power. So I think what's going to happen is he's going to go in there. I think Iggy's going to take him down. Even if they just stand and strike, I still think Iggy's going to get on him and unload. I think he's going to take Barboza down, though. I think there's going to be like 3 takedowns, and he's going to just get him down and beat on him and maybe choke him out.
Yeah, I mean, I like Iggy's submission grappling, and I like how he fights. I just think this is a big step up for him in competition. I mean, I know we liked Mirsad Bektic and we had Iggy in that fight, but I think, just the stylistically, Barboza is just so dangerous on the feet and so explosive. If he has any of that explosion at this weight class, it's just he's going to be a big, fast dude in there.
Here's the thing: if he's going to be probably big once he eats 2 Chipotle burritos and waters up. He's probably going to be pretty fast, but his style is he wants to kick you as hard as he can over and over until he gasses out from kicking you as hard as he can over and over. And,
yeah.
Like he basically will kick you until he's like falling asleep, like he can't throw it anymore. And I don't think that, like, if you're Dan Iggy and you have Khabib's team talking to you, they're going to be like, hey, Dan, no kicky 9 times in the leg. Like, they're going to be like, you need to take him down or get him on the cage or do anything except stand at range with this guy. So I think they're too smart. I think Iggy's on like a crazy hot streak. The fact is, if Dan Iggy was on this card fighting basically anyone else in the division as an underdog, you'd say, what the hell is this? And just because you see Barboza, which is like a name, I don't think it matters. I think Iggy's got the right tools to do it. I think he's not losing. I think he belongs there, and Barboza's on his way out.
Yeah, probably a pretty good read. Again, I fall in love with some of these guys that have the explosive knockout ability, and that's.
And he's 1-5 in his last 5.
Yeah, I don't know. I've just seen that jumping knee strike that he uses when people enter takedowns for the double leg, and I think that's how this fight's going to end. But if he can't get it off, I think Iggy probably wears him out against the cage. Gets a few takedowns.
Barboza will get tired too. I think a lot of grappling, he'll tire him out.
Yeah. That's he gets tired. He gets tired. He's throwing a lot of explosion. He can get tired. So, and Barboza is kind of, at this point in his career, I think people know how to handle him. It's just like, I don't think he's like totally done yet, but that's just.
Yeah. I mean, listen, when he broke Dan Hooker's legs or whatever, and he just collapsed and was dead, it was awesome.
Yeah.
But it was like, that's like everything went right that night for Barboza. And then Gaethje just like is the new Gaethje and like whips on him, and then Paul Felder sucks and he loses decision.
Felder sucks. That's a hot take. Paul Felder sucks.
He does, man.
Yeah, man, that's a hot take right there.
He's such like a head case. He's like a hot-headed, red-haired guy, just the dragon or whatever.
Wow.
I just like him.
Tough scene for Paul Felder.
I'd say it to his face. If he was here now, I'd say it to him. Like I'd smile, but I would still say it.
Yeah. I mean,
then I'd be at the dentist
awesome.
with Anthony Smith, right?
Yeah, you and Anthony Smith get the same. Well, your wife's a dentist, so that's good for you.
Yeah.
You'll be fine. You can say that to Paul Felder. You're fine. The next fight,
Gidea and Hill.
Again, this is a weird, similar to like you have a surging Angela Hill who fights in a way that's like she's a good decision fighter because she throws a ton of volume and she presses forward a lot. And it's kind of similar.
Cash game favorite. Everybody who I've ever talked to is good at cash games. They all play Angela Hill as a dog every single time.
Yeah, every fight she's in.
Her floor is like crazy compared to everyone else.
Yeah, just because she throws so many strikes and she doesn't really. But the truth is, in this fight, it's like Gidea, even though she's moved camps and she's all over the place, she's just better. Like I think she's just better. But because she can take her down and submit her like really easily because Angela Hill can't stop takedowns very well and doesn't really have game off of her back. Like Luma Lukbanmi, who is like half the size of Angela Hill, was able to get takedowns. So, I mean, I worry that Gedalia gets her on the ground and just is able to tap her out early in this fight.
So,
other than that, Angela Hill probably has pretty good volume and probably wins a decision. Just going
the whole fight the whole fight's going to come down to the grappling, and it's going to be whether or not Angela Hill can stuff some of these takedowns right away and make her pay for them, or if she's getting taken down 20 seconds in, is on her back for 3 minutes. Because the actually, it's just on her takedown defense. Angela Hill's like 73%, which I think has risen in the last 3 fights. I think she's something changed in her in the last couple of fights. She's
She's
started throwing
better.
elbows. Like, yeah,
Yeah.
she's much more well rounded, more dangerous. But her significant strikes haven't gone down. She's thrown almost 6 per minute, and Gadea's thrown 3. And in Angela Hill's last 3 fights, she looked really good. Gadea in her last fight was against Ronda Marcos, and was terrible. It was hard to watch. Like they just were standing there and like not. They're just jabbing and feinting.
Yeah.
And, like there was like 20 strikes landed. So I wonder a little bit too, like where is Gadea at in her career?
I think she's on her way out. I think this could be. I mean, this could be someone who's ascending versus someone on their way out. Similar to the same thing we just talked about with Dan Iggy and Barboza. You have an ascending fighter against someone who's probably on their way out. I mean, even though Gadea won her last fight, it wasn't impressive, right? So
it was horrible. It was horrible.
Yeah.
It was 50 points in a decision. I mean, like.
Yeah. So I mean, we can't. I don't think we can take Gadea at 9.1 in DraftKings, and I don't want to bet on her.
No.
So
I looked it up. Gadea scored in 2017. She submitted Kowalczyk in the first round. I don't remember it, but that was the only time she ever. Well, earlier too, but and only time in recent history. Let's say it was like almost 4 years ago that she scored over 90 points.
And another point that I want to bring up is that we never want to assume improvement or decline from a fighter, because until we see it, like we can't really assume things too much, but we have to, right? We're in the betting game, so we have small sample sizes, and I think it's reasonable at this stage to assume that Angela Hill is probably getting better and Gadea is getting worse. Or I think it's a reasonable thing to assume, just to assume. Which is like,
well, it's also on paper. Like,
yeah, it is on paper. Yeah,
but Gadea's fought the harder people too. Like, I think Nina Ansaroff and Jessica Andrade is like, I mean, those are rough fights. But Angela Hill's also like finishing a little bit now, and it seems like she just has like a game going. And I think at this stage, like she just has to land more strikes, and she does every single fight.
Yeah, and the truth is like. This is one of those betting opportunities where if we're assuming that Gadea moving camps around and not really having a good regimented training, and Angela Hill is improving, we might assume this leap and profit quite a bit from it if we can spike that right, because Angela Hill's a nice betting underdog and she's got a great salary on DraftKings.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm hot for Angela. I think I'm going to play her quite a bit because I have trouble at the high end here for these big favorites. I think a lot of them are way too expensive. And leading into that is my Alistar, the Reem, and Walt Harris, our last one here.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Again, you're not going to like what I think about this one.
You might be surprised by what I think about this one.
Yeah, I don't think you're going to like what I think.
Okay. All right. Tell me.
I think that Walt Harris is pretty explosive as a 1-2. He's got knockout power. Obviously, he can knock out Overeem because Overeem can be knocked out right now. But if Overeem gets this fight into the clinch or can get a takedown, I think this fight's over. Like I've never seen Walt Harris grappling. Never been impressed by it. The clinch game is something Alistar does really well in. This is just one of those Alistair fights where it's like everybody thinks he's going to lose it. He's going to get KO'd, and he comes out and like finds a way to win, because he even said it like, if he doesn't win this fight, like this is a must win for him. And like Alistar wants to keep fighting. Like he's getting paid almost like $1 million a fight. Like he doesn't want to get cut by the UFC. Like if he knows he has a way to win in the clinch and takedown, he's going to go for it. And he might get stopped on the way in, but he's pretty crafty. And I think that he again, this is like, there's a lot of underdogs I like on this card. And I think Alistar can win this fight.
Okay, so strictly DraftKings, I think Overeem's not a good pick for scoring. And the reason is if it goes 5 rounds, like against Rosenstrike, which he basically would have won that fight, uh, minus the last second like lip removal, he scored 56. So even if you go the next, if you give him like another 30 points or whatever, it's 86. It's like it's okay. Um, it, I don't know. I've been thinking about like fading this whole thing, the main event, which is I've done once or twice before successfully, but I have a hard time because I think Walt Harris is not like the other guys that Overeem has like stymied. The guys that Overeem has recently shut down, where you go, oh, like Pavlovich. Pavlovich is like a giant Russian with rocks for hands, but he's not smart. He's not athletic. He's not like skillful. He's just a giant Russian. And he came in and he was swinging like crazy, and Overeem like covered up, shells up, eats some of them, comes back out, starts banging this guy, and a couple of shots from over him, this guy's falling over sideways. I think Walt Harris is much more measured in his approach than that guy, or like Oleinik too. Alexei Oleinik like ran at him. It was just like he looked like one of those like robots from the '90s or '80s, or like you punch it to the head comes off. Like he was just going crazy down there, rock'em sock'em robots. I think that Walt Harris is going to come in there slow. I think he's going to probably just stand more or less still, bouncing around, and just throw a couple of shots to feel him out. I don't think it's going to be super aggressive.
Yeah, if Walt can stay like really far away from the clinch, like if I'm Walt's coaches right now, I need this guy away from Alistar and striking at range. But the volume on Walt Harris is so low that it's like it's even if he stays at range, you're going to get maybe 30 significant strikes in a whole fight. I mean, it's low.
Yeah,
it's going to be low.
He's averaging less than 30 in his last 4 wins, like 29, 24, 17, 4. He won all those fights, but also the quality of guy he's fighting, like he decisioned Arlovsky, kind of scary because Arlovsky.
This is a similar kind of a fight, right?
Yeah. Like at least like old man heavyweight style, where you're trying not to get
but I mean, Alistar is going to stay out. He's going to, he's not trying to rush himself into danger necessarily. He's crafty. He's a crafty dude.
Yeah, Spivak was fighting like 45-year-old guys from Mexico and a guys like Chalet in Russia, and still having a hard time putting them out. So no surprise that he got dusted. And when Oleinik, I don't remember the Oleinik fight. Did he just blast him? It was like four significant shots. I don't remember it. I assume he just knocked him out. But yeah, it's hard. It's like either this guy has the touch of death and like Ngannou kind of power, which I don't think he does because Arlovsky should have been knocked out. I think that they're going to dance, and it's just a matter of if he lands a power shot. But also, Walt Harris doesn't normally go 3 rounds. Like, is he going to get tired? What the hell with like his stepdaughter? I mean, there's a lot of questions about his game. I've never seen him on his back. I've never really even seen him on the cage.
Yeah, I think Overeem's offensive grappling is so good that if he gets him into a clinch and can get a trip, which Overeem can totally do, like body knees and your trip, Walt Harris is in a world of trouble, man. He's in a world of trouble. Is Walt Harris strong and athletic enough to push Overeem off him and stay out of the clinch? I mean, maybe. But is he strong enough to do it for 5 rounds and get a knockout? Because yeah, we don't know.
The truth is nobody knows. Nobody except Walt Harris and like probably his family and coaches know if he can physically get off his back. Now, I would tell you, judging from what I've seen, it's probably going to be a struggle because he's not built like an athlete that's like training and well-rounded. He's got a barrel chest. He's like built real big on top, and he's got relatively small legs, right? Relatively. That doesn't imply to me that he has like the power to like force himself up with Overeem on him. I don't know that he has the technical ability either. I mean, I don't know if he's doing jiu-jitsu, probably some amount, but I don't think he's like a black belt in jiu-jitsu. I feel like he just showed up one day and was taking people's heads.
Yeah, and the question is, can he take Alistar's head? Yeah, but it just feels like one of those fights that Alistar wins with craftiness and guile. I don't think he's going to score very well, but
no, well, that's the thing.
Fade this fight. I think you can fade this fight on DraftKings. That might make us look really stupid when Walt Harris like blows his head off, or Overeem gets a finish in the 3rd round because Walt's so tired. But Yeah, I
But
mean,
here's the
it's
thing:
just going to be a low output type of fight.
all of Walt Harris's competition has been at a significantly lower level than Overeem. And Overeem is like upper echelon, maybe not like the best anymore because of his age, but he's an upper echelon skill and technical fighter, and he still has relative power to be in the division. Fighting guys who are fighting guys on the couch in Russia, that's not the same kind of fight. Even the Arlovsky fight, Arlovsky's way smaller than Overeem, at least from what I can tell.
He's
Uh,
way smaller, like
I,
way smaller.
I mean, I think it's going to look like two big heavyweights. So Harris did weigh in at the limit today.
Yeah.
Today. So I mean, he's going to look big, but he's going to be fighting a guy who's probably about as big as he's ever fought too, who's got some credentials. So that's one thing. I think the Arlovsky fight's kind of alarming. Like he won it with 24 strikes. That seems almost impossible. Like he had a takedown, but I don't know, 24 strikes and one takedown on Arlovsky. It's like if that's a win, I guess, but why weren't you able to knock the old man's head off?
Yeah. So,
And
yeah.
I think it's to be similar, to be honest. I,
So,
I
like,
was leaning Walter bust, but I'm kind of leaning like Overeem could win 5 rounds of dancing and like pussyfooting and not a whole lot of like striking. He probably lands more volume.
yeah. And so, macro overview, do you think, I think Walt Harris is going to be highly owned. I think a lot of people believe that Walt Harris is just going to blast through Overeem.
Yeah,
I think, Song Yadong is going to be really owned, and probably for good reason. Barboza probably gets owned quite a bit. Bieza too.
but
Um,
it's heavily, like, in my opinion, it's heavily based on name recognition, the ownership ratings. Overeem and Harris are probably going to be super high, like close to 50%. Gadea, Angela Hill might even be high. Barboza, Eric Anders, even though I don't think he's very good. Song, I'm not sure people are turned on to yet. Kevin Holland might be decent. You want Elkins to be highly owned, but who knows?
yeah, yeah, you'd love to see it, but macro overview. I think we like a lot of dogs in this card. I think there's a lot of betting opportunity. There's a lot of dog opportunity. I think you deploy your money. I think on DraftKings you can leave salary, and come up with a unique lineup that could take something down tonight.
Yeah.
We were close. We were close. If Anthony Smith had won, we were close, but.
On this one in particular, like, I'll just tell you straight up, for the most expensive guys in the card, I like Davis if he was still in. That would have been interesting.
That would have been my guy.
Yeah.
That would have been my guy. So I'm
Gadea, super questionable about winning, let alone scoring. Baeza is kind of the same thing. Song is in a coin flip from hell where it's like Song's awesome, so is Cheeto. Good luck. I play both. Casey, I think, is probably like the next highest person I like, just for a statistical like output that should win and score okay. And then you're kind of into the mix.
You're in the weeds, man. You're in the weeds.
There's no one safe. There's no one safe at all.
So I mean,
Casey,
but
Casey
if
might be the safest.
if we're gonna give this to the people and give the people what they want, I want your favorite fighter on the card that you're gonna have in every DraftKings lineup, 100%.
I'll give you two. I'm gonna go real hard on Iggy and Kevin Holland.
And Kevin.
Yeah, I think Holland's getting a second round TKO, and I think Iggy's going to score real well and maybe just crush Barboza's spirit for the rest of the time.
Okay. I'm gonna give you one guy that I think is gonna win, and he's gonna be probably in every DraftKings lineup that I have, and I'm gonna bet him pretty substantially, and that's Matt the Immortal Brown against Baeza.
Yeah, I'm not against that at all. I also like taking the dog in that one, but if he gets toasted in the first round, it's not going to look good. But I don't think that's going to happen.
Yeah, but I love your conviction on Iggy. That's your guy now. So good luck to Dan Iggy.
He's got the style to win.
I want to. Yeah, I like his style a lot, and I think you look at guys who are gonna be able to challenge Volkanovski, because that's our ultimate boy, right? We and you have been on Volkanovski from the beginning, but
we're in a hotel in Ohio on a business trip, watching on like an iPad, and I was like, who the hell is this Volkanovski
This
guy?
is like 4 years
He's
ago.
just
Yeah.
sucking guys down.
Yeah, 3 years ago, something like that. But we love Volkanovski, and you look at featherweight, like who's going to challenge Volkanovski? If Iggy gets better, Iggy has a style that could potentially, compete in that Volkanovski range, which is like power grappling and pressure fighting. So
You know it's going to be, man. I don't think Iggy's powerful enough to stop
no,
Volkanovski.
I don't think so right now. I'm saying like his style has his style has upside as to how far he can go in the division.
I'll
Yeah,
tell you who's going to be interesting. The Korean Zombie has power, like just raw,
love Korean
nice,
Zombie.
stiff power. Zabit Magomedsharipov is, I think he might, yeah, he and Iggy might actually train a little bit, but don't hold me that. Zabit's like the next guy. Yair sucks. I mean, he doesn't suck, but he's not
Yeah,
going. He's not going.
Calvin Cater too. Calvin Cater.
I feel like he's
Watch
going to be a
that guy.
gatekeeper.
Watch that guy, Calvin Cater. I think he's smooth.
Shins.
But there's a lot. There's a lot of really good featherweights. I mean,
Ryan Hall. Ryan Hall's my pick for featherweight champion.
yeah. But there's a lot of great featherweight fights out there, and I think Iggy, if Iggy beats Barboza, I'm not saying he's ever going to be champion. I'm saying that there's a lot of great fights out there, and Iggy could be competitive in a lot of them if he continues to.
For sure.
So,
all right, let's wrap it up by
right.
5 o'clock somewhere.
All right, man. Matt Immortal Brown, Dan Iggy, and one more you had. What was your other one?
Kevin Holland.
Kevin Holland. All right, man. Good luck. Win some money.
All right.
Fred.
I'll see you.
Yeah.
Bye.